We're live.
Perfect. Yay. Hello, hello, world out there. And hello, hello, everyone in here. It's so wonderful to be together. This session is all about
The next cohort. Dun, 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 dun.
dun, dun, dun.
Well, the Design Science Studio. That's what has brought all of you here, kinda, hopefully. Hopefully you know what that is. If not, don't worry, we'll tell you. We're gonna do a little dance. So we'll do a little dance, or we just like skip through it because we're late.
No.
Okay, let's put it. Are you showing the sound?
Oh, yeah. But what song?
I won't bring them.
Oh, okay.
Or the other one.
Will we get in trouble because we're streaming?
Okay. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay, we'll try. We'll just do like a few seconds.
If you have it there.
Oh yeah. All right.
Okay, so we're gonna share a song of these artists that we found recently that we have fallen in love so hard. Hopefully we'll convince her to join our next cohort. She has an incredible array of songs. Her voice is just mesmerizing. We're gonna dance a little bit. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's only 2 minutes.
Yeah, and just know that this is a part of what we do in our sessions. We always move and we always breathe because we got to get in our bodies. It's a lot of talking and acting. We got to get into our being. So invite you to pause whatever you're doing, stand. Oh, I'm gonna play a different song than that one. Like this one. There we go.
The underdogs are my life.
Roxy, just a heads up, the sound turned off on the video. You're also still muted. I'm still not hearing any sound.
Oh, I see other people dancing. I love this human over here who's dancing. But no one else could hear it? Did we lose our movement?
I couldn't hear it.
It was on for a moment and then it turned off.
That's fine. We'll share in the chat, and so you guys can hear. Also, yeah, we'll share the music video because
you know why? It was my fault.
That's fine.
It was my
okay.
fault.
Let's move on.
Okay,
we'll send in the chat, and you guys promise that you're gonna dance later.
This song.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you got to watch us interpretive dance Aurora's "When Kingdom Come" song because it's really great and it's all about expansion. So I hope that you really appreciated that wonderful moment. Oh, she's amazing.
All right,
so
let's go. So how did you all start?
The origin stories.
That's your origin story.
Yeah. Okay. So origin stories. Amanda Ravenhill and I have been collaborating for about 9 years. When I first moved to the Bay Area, I asked a friend, Rosie Lila, who's a dear mentor, where my people at who are doing regenerative, sustainable work in the world. I need to connect with them because my personal background is in art and sustainability, and since then, regenerative design. So what happened as we started collaborating was that we built a giant haunted house called Ghosts of the Future, and it was all about our foreseeable future. Things don't change. We made a bunch of other projects that were about art and design and the reality of our planet. And then come 2020, kind of winter of 2019, Faith, Becca, Amanda, and I were sitting together in San Francisco, and we were like, how do we collaborate? We're really dedicated to collaborating. We need to figure this out. And one of the things that came through was that, kind of twofold. One, I was really experiencing a lot of different spaces where we were empowering artists to create work about the future of our planet and the future of our human species. And a lot of times that meant they were having to learn also at the same time as try to create. And then they were also very under-resourced, both in, you know, kind of education and funding. And so this like is a you know, microcosm of a macrocosm. This is a pretty real issue in the world in general, because artists aren't always resourced, but they're the ones whose backs we, you know, help weave the visions of the future that are so necessary with and through. And so at the same time as I was thinking like, oh, we need to do something supporting the regenerative transition around artists and building their capacity, Buckminster Fuller Institute is accelerating the design science revolution and the design science decade. And so the decade and the regenerative transition hand in hand, supporting artists and designers and design science hand in hand, my background in art and design and science hand in hand. So we were like, all right, what if we create something to do this, to empower artists, build their capacity, you know, help fund them ideally, and really scaffold and connect them out in the world. And then the pandemic hit. And then we said, okay, that physical idea in San Francisco's or Bay Area is not going to work. What if we just see if other people maybe on the internet want to do it? And so we put out a call and 300 people responded. And so we said, okay, right, let's do this for an online global cohort. And this idea, this vision, a dream you dream alone is only a dream, but a dream you dream together is a reality. And this like vision to say, okay, what if we all direct our creativity toward a world that works for all life and not just some? And what if we do that by empowering creators, educating, supporting connection, and lifting them up? And that's the call we asked people to respond to. And so they responded.
Some numbers of the first cohort, we had 300 applications. It took us weeks to go through all of them because honestly, like with these kind of things, usually you get a 10% of really good applications and then a lot of like, and then, you know, some in between. We had like literally almost 300 applications that deserve looking through them, reading through them, clicking on the links. It was like really mesmerizing, the level that it was really hard to choose, but we ended up choosing and selecting 144 revolutionaries and leading them into this 7-month craziness where we gifted them or shared with them about 48 hours of visionary classes, one per week, of incredible speakers with a really like revolutionary approach, very different, using very different tools, very different ways to teach and educate and collaborate. At the end, we had more than 100 projects showcased that were either finished or almost finished and or prepared enough to go into the world and be shared with the world. We had more than 750 attendees of Regenaissance Rising, which was the festival that showcased all the projects at the end of March. And we also ended up creating a lot of content. A lot of these projects had content that was shared with the world. We were creating images, we were creating songs. We created 7 virtual worlds. We're gonna walk you through some of them after this in a little bit. We gave more than $50,000 in grants. That was just the beginning. This was just like a little piece, but we expect as we grow and as the studio continues and as we engage more philanthropists and more people that are willing to or are believing in our mission, we expect to raise between $1 and $5 million every year to give to our creators and support their projects. And in the end, what we did was to touch hundreds of souls like you who ended up becoming and coming to our salons and really being touched by all of that was emerging.
And we had a lot of really beautiful feedback, some that we never honestly could have anticipated. People really felt like they found home. Elena Sheridan, who is an incredible artist in South Africa, who created an installation called Some Plastic, which is like bringing people together on the precious plastics movement. She said that the Design Science Studio is an ideas incubator, a connector of dots, a synchronicity machine, a weaver of worlds. The Design Science Studio and the Living Systems Collaboratory was the shining light that kept me motivated and moving forward throughout an otherwise dark and daunting year. The inspiration and support from the team and fellow revolutionaries was a huge blessing. And Stephanie Schwartz, who's actually here, said that the program gave her hope and opened her heart again. And we were given so many tools and teachers and so much richness.
Yeah, it was really special to receive the feedback from all these humans that really, the main feedback that we receive is what Roxy shared, is like the feeling of having found home, of really having a feeling of belonging, and the constant, meeting every week, especially through the pandemic in a year that was really tough and really hard, and like having that consistency of meeting with a group of humans that mostly everybody felt like family and felt like, like they had found their tribe in a way. And so that was really, really, really special.
Beep, beep, beep.
And yeah, so what's the Design Science Studio?
It is an educational incubator for art. We empower global creators like all of you, and I'm sure plenty of people that you know and love who would love to be a part of this, to imagine a regenerative future. And so what this means is helping to really ground some of these potential visions based on where we're at and where we need to go, and create this space that's fertile to kind of ignite and catalyze inspiration, conversation, and action, like some of the artists that you've gotten to see today, to support this transition, to propel this transition to a world that works for all life. And it was born in this time of radical change. And all of these decades of over-industrialization and alienation from nature have been some of these root causes. Root causes are one of the main things that we really try to identify. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, we really can imagine a different future. As we question in this world, and with all this turmoil that is happening, as we question our social and financial systems, you all can feel there is something emerging. There is this movement that is having many branches. There is people doing eco-villages. There is people trying to solve some of the world's biggest problems. There is a huge, massive movement on rethinking the financial systems, on rethinking how cities work, future of cities, or how societies work at large. And we're really trying to, look back at 100 years of like incredible progress and evolution. But like, I always get to feel like, the 20th century feels like almost like we were kids on a playground with way too many toys, right? We were given all these incredible toys and technologies and things, and we're really excited about them, and we really didn't know better and how to use them because they were new, and they were like new every day, every day will come with something new. And so we've used them, often not in the best ways. Bucky Fuller used to say that we build all the right tools for all the wrong reasons. But now there is this movement emerging, this Regenaissance, as we call it, that is calling us to really look back and assess what of those things we can take with us and how we can transform their use and our approach to nature and really start building a world that works for 100% life. So the Design Science Studio aims at creating behavioral changes. What that means is we behave in a lot of ways just because it's how we've been taught. Nobody told us that using single-use plastic was wrong. We never even connected the dots on how that would end up in a landfill and take 1,000 years to decompose. And so our goal is within this process is to start changing some of these behaviors. Now we have more information, we have more data. So we're in the process of trying to share with people and create cultural shifts. And we do that through culture and art, because that's where it all starts. It's like Roxy was giving examples this morning about the designated driver campaign, or things like, things that have allowed us to just shift our perspective and understand things better. Happened the same with for example, the tobacco industry. You know, it was the other day I saw an ad, now that we're in the Olympics, of like an ad of cigarette that said like, these cigarettes for the Olympics, supporting the sports people. It would be inconceivable right now. So I hope that in 20 years from now or 30 years from now, we look at this era in which we're like very unconscious of a lot of things, with, you know, laughing at how naive we were, and acknowledging how much we have changed and have transformed.
And we see that art can play a pivotal role in this throughout the history of time. Some of these artists and some of these examples are really pivotal moments in history, some of the ones that Nico just reminded us of and more. And this story, the story that artists can help weave and can help really expand our perspectives on, is really how we can create social and systemic shifts. And so this new narrative, weaving forward, supporting art that changes history based on knowing that it has, we are launching the next cohort.
Yeah, and within that, you know, we launched this almost in a naive way, without having, you know, without knowing what to expect, without knowing what was gonna happen, and we just like started putting this together and almost creating it as we went, and like improvising every week. And I hope our revolutionaries would forgive us for this like emergence, but I think it also brought a lot of wonder and a lot of like that feeling of like just doing something that is unique and feeling part of something that is important and is really making a change. And so it was so good that we decided to do it again and again and again. And so we're gonna do at least one cohort per year for the next decade, hopefully many more. We are already having plans to expand and doing cohorts in different countries and different environments for different themes. So we're at the early beginning. You guys are seeing something that is barely starting, but that we hope will grow exponentially and at a really fast pace. So we're gonna walk you through some of the defining things of the cohort 2. We're gonna go quickly through some of the details. First, some dates are important for you to consider.
Yep. So there's an application deadline of August 15th. So that's in 2 weeks. We'll select the revolutionaries by the first week of September. We'll be onboarding in September, and then we'll start at the end of September. And so that's the timeline. Don't be shy. Jump on in.
That gives you questions. 2 weeks to apply.
Yeah.
2 more weeks.
And one of the things is you'll see in the application is it's optional to have a project. It's wonderful if you have an idea in mind. A lot of people came to the studio who are like experts in their fields and are leading initiatives like Tara, or have, you know, a big seed of an idea like Olivia came with the Alchemy Center and then found their collaborators. And so this curriculum piece, which is such an important and critical part to what we do, is really dense, and it's made to really help create a full picture system of how we might approach this important work creatively.
Yeah, so these are some of the themes that you'll see. As you can see, they're very eclectic, but at the same time, it all makes a lot of sense. We are really teaching our creators to see the world differently, to think in systems, and to really understand the interconnection between everything that is going on, and to start imagining also as well. We've repeated this over and over again, but like our goal is to imagine possible futures, to try to imagine what's possible, so we can then start to backcast from those possible futures into what we can do today to get there. Some like notes around the classes structure. Can you go there? So we're gonna have one mandatory class a week that happens on Tuesdays. These are mandatory, is what we ask of you at the bare minimum, is 2 hours a week on Tuesdays. And then we have,
which we'll say it's 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So this is an international cohort, and that's like the best kind of time that works across the entire planet. So that's PST is what I was just mentioning, which is like 6 p.m. in England, and in Pakistan, I think was our furthest artist, who I think that was his 11 p.m. So
yeah, and then on top of that, we have a broad array of additional content for you to enjoy. This is optional. Some people have more time, and in the last cohort they engaged fully and came to every session. Some people were really busy and couldn't only come to some things. That's totally fine. As long we're doing this for you, so it's up to you to choose how much you want to receive. But on top of the Tuesday class, we're gonna have another Thursday 2-hour class that is a hands-on, where we'll give you tools to develop your project and to work on your ideas, and we'll scaffold you, and you're going to be able to collaborate with your peers. We're going to have an amazing challenges program. These are challenges sponsored by organizations that are working on incredible solutions for the planet. And so we're going to bring them in for you to be able to collaborate on their challenges and to work with them, and tag along with them. Most of these challenges will be partially funded. So there's going to be some resources to work on these solutions, or you can choose to work on your own project. We're going to have fireside chats with experts and like practical themes to teach you about how to create a project, how to make budgets, how to make pitch decks, how to market it. We're going to teach you a lot about ontological design that we've been talking about today. We're going to have deep dives, salons, showcases like this one that we have more or less every 2 months, and also some regenerative content and virtual worlds. And so, yeah, and at the end of it, we do a big festival, Regeneration Rising, that everybody gets to participate in. It's a whole week of talks and where we get to share with the world what we have done.
One thing that I think is super important to note is that there's also a ton of intelligence in the space, as I'm sure you have brought. And so there's a lot of scaffolding the artists to actually resource and support each other. They say, hey, I will be your peer-to-peer support. And different artists will lead workshops and lead sessions and, provide advice. And, it's really incredible. We're definitely not the source of all knowledge. We do our best to create resilient structures that can move and bend and grow with the needs that are emergent in the moment.
Yeah. So Revolutionaries. What's a revolutionary? Revolutionary is all our cohort members. And you might be asking, who are we looking for? Really nobody in particular. When we say artists, we don't really mean just artists. We just mean people who are inclined to create things. And so it's not just artists, it's also visionary thinkers, it's also system thinkers, it's also scientists, it's also anybody who is willing to put their brains to work to create new narratives and to share them with the world. And it could be a singer with a song, and it can be a performing artist, but it can also be a really smart person that is just thinking about how to solve some of these world issues and willing to tell about that story in a somehow artistic way. And yeah, what we're really looking is for solar punk polymath artivists.
Yep. And even if that's not you yet, every different person has the voice, the ember, the unique brilliance that they bring. And there is a way to apply that to what is needed in this time. And that's what we need, truly. And there's something, again, that we can do that's so much greater than the sum of our parts when we work and collaborate together. And so that's also a huge part of what we're empowering in the creators that we are calling together to propel this revolution.
And that's how you go and check the work of our previous revolutionaries. You've been seeing some of them today. You'll see a little bit more in the time that we have left. But there you can check the 100 and something projects and all the profiles of the revolutionaries. So you get inspired and you find the affinity and you decide to apply as well. I really, really hope that all of you here, even though you were never thinking about applying, right now, like the seed has somehow started to bloom inside you and you're encouraged to apply. So applying to cohort 2, do's that you should do if you're applying and putting up the application. share your most authentic you in all the unique ways you feel culture. There is no right or wrong application. We just like really want to see you and see what you're doing and what you are envisioning, even if you're not doing it yet. Like we just want to see your passion. We want you to surprise us. You know, there are more applicants that we can accept. Last year, we needed to leave behind almost 150. I think this year will be very similar, but we really are not looking for the top of their game, best in class. We're just looking for authenticity and passion and love. We love trailblazers, risk takers, bold movers, but also shy geniuses with a story or a vision to share. And if you're applying, we love images, we love words, so you can tell. Be more generous with the former than the latter. It's easier for us to go through applications that are visual, and send us memes. We love them.
Memify the future. Okay, so don't apply if you won't attend. If you can't, if you like have to miss a few sessions, they're very heavily recorded and we share them very actively, but we want people who are committed to changing the way they work, because this has been life-changing for us and we're so deeply committed to this work, and we really want to bring people in who are too. So don't forget to add your portfolio or examples of your work. Don't wait till the last minute, but if you do, still send it in. And we really, really look forward to engaging with the future cohort.
Many of you have asked about the program cost.
Yeah, so last year we were able to provide a lot of full scholarships. And what we realized was that it was a very young program that was extremely ambitious and it was a lot of work, and we have to pay our team. So it's really important that this year we make sure to have at least the baseline costs covered. Comes out to about $200 a month for 7 months. There are scholarships, partial and full. They're not as many. We're actively working on more funders to help cover and sponsor specific artists, and we will offer some. So don't be afraid. If you need the aid, please apply and say that you need it, and be honest about what level that you need it at. And we are doing literally everything in our power to provide as many of these full scholarships as we possibly can. We know that artists are very under-resourced most of the time. This is a piece of culture we're working really, really hard to change. And this is very fair based on what the amount of work it takes to create the studio. So we really encourage you, if you have any questions about what this breaks down to, we're very transparent and happy to share the team that is behind this cost. And it is so worth it.
Yeah, I know that we are, like, as we grow and find more funders, we're really aiming at this program to be for free at some point if we can afford it, and for, you know, we want it to be for as many people in the world as we can. And so until we continue working on that, we ask you to you know, play with us. And also, like, one thing to consider is even though we have about 15 or 14 full scholarships, it's you'll get greater chances of being accepted if you apply for partial aid or no aid, because those go into a separate selection pool. And what I always encourage people who ask me also, like, oh, like I don't know if I will be able to afford it or not. It's like, also, like, ask for help. You know, if you really like the program and like you love it and want to participate, maybe you can do a little crowdfunding between your family or ask your friends to, you know, let that be your birthday gift. Whatever works, we will continue on our end to doing our best to just lower the cost, give as many scholarships as we can, and figure out a way in which we can continue doing the program, but at the same time getting on board everybody that needs to be there.
And that being said, if you know any super badass wealthy people who love art, holler, because we're super committed to resourcing artists, and we really, really want to make this program really accessible for a bunch of people, and also create the challenge structure is really cool, because what it is there's a certain point in the cohort that we'll be able to gather energy around specific planetary challenges, like the future of our cities, like the Project Drawdown,
Like if you have somebody that you know that owns a company and they're really trying to become more sustainable or to find solutions on how to really see the planet differently, that's what the challenges are for. We can bring them in, they can, you know, just like spend some money to get some of these incredible creators to think with them and promote the campaigns that we create and do something meaningful together.
So we hope you join and tell your people who you think are amazing, who should join. And it's not all visual, it's somatic, it's the stories, the guided meditations, the visual artists, the eco-village designers, the archaeologists, the scientists. I mean, it's not just the traditional arts. We really have all kinds of systems creators. And what happens after, you know, after these people come together and
have an incredible, well, I'm not gonna say incredible yet because we haven't launched it yet. It's coming, patience, all alumni, we're there. But we're really committed to doing this work for the decade. And like our main conversation upon finishing the first cohort was, you guys are not ending. And everybody was like, yeah, we're not ending. Absolutely not. It's just the first phase, and then all these incredible revolutionaries become evolutionaries and are committed to us for the decade. And so we're gonna keep grinding and hustling and just doing things for the planet and inviting them constantly to just continue sharing their projects with you. And there's gonna be a lot of programming and special things organized also for those who go through our cohorts.
And also there's a ton of emergence happening that the cohort members from the first one are like, we're here, we're not going anywhere. Also, we want to help design the next one. Also, we want to contribute to everything. And it's like, we didn't just do a program. We like had a, you know, created a family that's super committed to supporting each other and helping make sure that like our collective vision happens. So we hope that you apply and join us. Yeah. Yay.
And now we have maybe 5 or 10 minutes for some questions. We're gonna do like maybe 5 minutes here on the opener, and then if there are more, we can get into a breakout room to continue answering them if you have them. So please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll unmute you and give you a voice.
Jorgis, you want to play a ditty while we answer questions?
Oh yeah.
Join.
A ditty while you answer questions. Sure, why not? Sure. It's Q&A time. We're taking questions. And I'm also making the musical space available to anyone who would like to chime in with a musical question. Hi, it's Steven. We're in E major or minor, whichever you choose. Fire up that piano of yours, friend. Maybe Struby would like to join us as well. We'll get proper elevator music going. Turn it down, turn it down, turn it down. It's too loud?
There's a question. There's a question.
Oh, man.
Keep jamming. Is there an option for participation if the minimum time commitment is a challenge, even others in the leadership population? Is there an option to participate as in colleagues?
So I think there is 2 answers to this. The first one is to the process and access all the tools and then produce something. Either that be that you join one of the challenges or that you produce or develop your own project. At the end of it, you're going to need to present something. So the answer is, if you're committed to watching the classes, you can join at that particular time, but then you're going to be keeping up with the things and the tools, and then you're going to produce something at the end, then likely, let's talk about it. What we don't want is that you are like really not available. Because that would be detrimental to other people who can be and are really willing to just be there and do the thing. That said, the second answer is, the second answer is, we are creating a large ecosystem of problem solvers, Imagineers, and people who are committed to solving the world's challenges and showing it to others. And there's going to be many options to participate, from attending the showcases to many other ways in which we will come up with that doesn't need to be revolutionary to be part of and participate in some of our challenges, etc., etc. So if you really can't commit for the cohort, reach out. Just send us an email. Follow us on our social media. We're going to have these virtual worlds that we have created. We're going to have our Hilo community. So there's going to be more ways to be proactive. I would say be as proactive as you can. We're in this together. We need to collaborate. We're collaborating with many other organizations and people. So yes, the answer is yes, even if you cannot commit to that time, there are many ways.
Yeah, if you feel committed to making it work, there were a lot of artists who were lighter touch, but then they definitely showed up in the moment they could. And this actually dovetails really well into Deanna's question, which is once accepted, is the goal to develop each individual's creation for what? So the like underlying kind of question that we ask everyone is, are you willing to direct your creativity to helping make the world work for 100% of life? Which means like really helping us shift to that potential future. And an equitable and just future for all to shift culture is an interdisciplinary, multimodal approach. There isn't just one focus, but if you are like, your focus is decolonization through, somatic movement, then that's amazing. Do that, but learn about how that affects a broader system and make sure you're integrating the downstream and upstream effects, and how might that perspective broaden with your creative expression. And then the other part is there will be opportunities to come together and direct your work together towards specific challenges with initiatives and organizations. So it's kind of a two-pronged.
We even accept projects that criticize us. Last year, we had one of our alumni that made his entire final project about what we weren't doing great. And that's perfect because it's a perfect example of
critiquing how we can't make the world work for all life. And it was amazing.
It's great because that's how evolution works. It's how we learn. We just see the things that are not completely working and we continue in the evolution.
Della, did you find a lot of people were open to collaboration? Oh, and then Dean, you have a question too. So maybe Della, yes, and I think people were super stoked about the projects that they brought to the table. There were a lot of collaborations that came together, similar to the ones you saw with Alchemy Center. And then one thing that we discovered is that we needed to kind of design more opportunities for people to kind of collaborate with each other, because as structural designers, the system also really helps. And so there's a lot of learnings that we were able to integrate into this future one to bolster even more collaboration.
Dean, you have your hand raised. Also, somebody asked if we do celebrations. Yes, always. Salon, and like we really believe the change will come. That's it. Like, we don't want to be sad about the future. We just want to make it work. Sorry, Dean, go ahead.
Mic check.
It's loud and interesting.
Okay, peace. I'm going to apply. I hope I get accepted because I have some capital equipment working with, well, it's like every day I can turn out 50 times 365 bricks with using fungus and bio waste a day. And I can, through it, sequester the carbon, but furthermore, I can bring out of the atmosphere GANs, which is gas nanosolids, that are the building blocks for the new industries that are coming out. And it also sequesters carbon. And that's one of the projects. Now I have a whole...
This is what we meant by really ingenious polymath solar tank artists.
And iconoclast, because I live by the trivium, and so therefore I can't have really any beliefs of my own, and I'm a scientist, and therefore I only look for what doesn't reproduce and then I can stumble upon those things that are key components that can be shared like a pencil, and anybody can use it. And there are so many uses of a pencil because of the graphite inside of it, which can conduct electricity. So you have all sorts of powers that you can use. Anyway, I'm going to apply. I hope I get accepted.
We're really committed to eco-village building and new ways of building. And I'll loop you in with also one of our partner communities that is Revealed, that is fully focused on village building, and they will love all your ideas. Yeah.
Well, I'm starting a 20-acre project right now, and I will be starting, because I already harvested the material, building rocks buildings as far as experimentation with agriculture growing facilities.
That's amazing. Reach out to me. I'll connect you with a bunch of people that can help.
Yay. And we're going to move any remaining questions to a breakout room. Stephen, did you want to say something before we switch it up? No, but you should, because you should. Go on, do it.
Okay, so it was just the question that I was asking in the chat. What if there are people who would like to create their own cohort for their community to follow along with a co-creative regenerative movement? Do you have a replicable model for what you're doing that can be shared so we can follow along with the Design Science Studio and scale globally?
I love this. It's funny because in our founding documents, like the second line is, we will create a blueprint that can be shared for other communities to do this, because we don't have the capacity to continue to do this all by ourselves. So yes.
I'm going to say yes, and we're working on it. We will have it in a comprehensive format that is going to be shareable. Not ready yet, but yes.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that is because that's kind of my project that I felt like I wanted to take on, was how do we become the builders collective globally, all building the kind of world that we want to live in. And I thought the first thing that needed to happen was to document what just happened so that other people could follow along. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight that.
Yay. Yes, Stephen. Thank you. You're such inspiration for this specific kind of work, and you've been doing that with your work, and you've been such a massive epic synthesizer, and I'm so excited for everyone to get to hear from you later today. What do you want, Nico?
So I'm gonna go into a breakout room. If you guys have more questions, just feel free to join me there.
Why would I close it?
Huh? There's just one open. Okay, so there is one that is called coheART room. You can click on where it says breakout rooms, and it allows you to join by yourself. So just I'll be there for a few minutes if you want to join and have more particular questions. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll move you over, Stephanie, because I see you're there, and a few other people who I see your questions popping in. Okay, Jorgis, give us. We gotta like wiggle it out a little bit. We're about to have
What?
whole other.
I'm too loud.
We need more Jorgis. Can we have some Jorgis?
We need more Jorgis. It's funny because usually I would just engage you in this kind of hey, that feels good. It feels a little bit like me. I was feeling a little bit melancholy. I wanted to play a song to nature, which brings me to two things that I have learned through you people. The first is a technique of weaving attention I learned from Mr. Mark Smith called beaming. I've always been good at bringing people together. I've always been good at weaving attention as it is, but Mark Smith taught me how to take it up to the next level, and he calls it beaming. He calls it beaming. Now, what do we do when we're beaming? What we do when we're beaming, and Mark, you correct me if I'm wrong, essentially what we're doing is we're extending our Akashic antenna, or an imaginary antenna, and we're allowing ourselves to speak without inhibition. to let our egos dissolve in a space and allow ourselves to vacate the capacities of our hearts onto others and look for resonant nodes. So for example, I would say, what Becca was saying really resonated deeply with me. And also, what's the poet's girl's name? I forgot her name as well, but remind me her name.
Shelley.
What? Shelley Bruce, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna turn that into a song because something she said, it entered my soul like an arrow from the bow of Cupid himself. She said, they tried to bury us, but we were seeds. They tried to bury us, only to discover that we were seeds. And we discovered that we needed a little more contact with the soil, a little less toil, a little bit more getting dirty in nature, a little bit more spending time with Gaia at the root of a tree, underneath all the things that we do and see. Does that resonate with anybody else? Was there anything else during this session that also struck you like an arrow from the bow or quiver of Cupid himself? Who will share? Who will share? Who will share? Who will share?
The stories meant to be, they meant to be, they rhymed with you and me, they were meant to be those stories. See? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel your antennas extending into the infinite through these resonating words, can I get from you a proper aho?
Aho!
Oh.
Aho.
Aho.
Aho!
Now, because the DSS does not have enough money yet to send you mind-altering substances, conscious expanding psychedelics, what we're gonna do is gonna send you the next cheapest option. We're gonna help you self-administer a little bit of a different dose of melatonin, oxytocin mostly, actually. Melatonin would make you sleepy. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna ask you to take a deep breath in. Hold it, just hold your breath, hold it with your hands in the air, yeah, hold it, yeah, don't breathe out, hold it. This is you changing the content of the air in your lungs, and in the process changing the content of your blood. So hold it a little bit more, and now exhale. Lovely. Good. I would have liked somebody to unmute because that's the second part of the cocktail. No, but wait, that doesn't count. So take another deep breath in. Everybody in this virtual room right now is getting high on their own breaths. If you consider that it perhaps takes a couple hundred breaths for the air in my lungs to reach yours, well then we're all getting high on the same stash. We are all here indulging in the same bash. Yeah. Now unmute and exhale. That is lovely. That is nice. It's good. Do you know that sound is the sound of this room relaxing with itself, or us relaxing with one another? And it is guaranteed to produce oxytocin, which is a love compound, is what we feel when we feel loved or hugged or we feel affection. For example, ladies and gentlemen, can I get a show of hands if you would like a little bit more oxytocin in the room right now? Dan, how about you? You want some oxytocin? All right, I can't send you my own personal stash, but what I can do is I can give you a big kiss right now, and I can give you a kiss. Mwah. And I got one back. And this is us generating a little bit more oxytocin. Good. The best substances are the ones which are administered for free, and they're the ones which don't require external elements of ingestion. And this is us, through the power of smiles, through the power of connecting humanity, to change the way we feel. And if you are a believer, a follower of Amanda Sage, you will know that creativity is a spiritual superpower, and you will also know that emotions are the main currency. So before I leave, I would like to invite you all to inject this space with a little bit more emotion. Put yourself here in this room with any sign or expression. Anything you feel that might make us feel better. It could be an O. It can be Bill's fingers. It can be Aaron's serpent. It can be Stroopy's magic flute. It can be Audrey's beautiful movement. Who else will contribute? Who's gonna give me a smile? Who's gonna give me some love? Yes. All right, let's try something acoustic. Can I get a happy noise? Let's get a happy noise. Yeah. So lovely. When you realize that you can affect yourself by affecting others, you start to comprehend that the ego is just an impediment. It's just an impediment to understand togetherness. Imagine if you could feel every soul in the world, and you could express love for them, and you could feel the love that they have for you. Wouldn't we all just be fucking delighted and happy? Wouldn't this just be just friggin' marvelous and wonderful? Yeah, it would. Amen. Unfortunately, there is no technology that can provide us. There is no scientific method to produce this. However, we have art and creativity, and I think that that's a damn good methodology to bend rules and norms and all kinds of things like that. And if you do it right now with me, well, I'll take off my hat. I'm gonna ask you all right now to focus into the imaginary field and send positive emotions to all, unbounded, unyielded. Put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put the hands in the air, like this, like this, like this. And we're gonna pretend that with each kind of like air push-up, we're pushing positive energy in and out into the world. Ready? And we're gonna push. Push. Push the love out. Push. In all, push. Just push it, push it, push. Yeah. Push. I love it. Push, 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 push. And let's push it towards San Francisco, northern San Francisco, to where Roxy, Nico, and John are waiting. And let's send them a lot of love. Let's see if they receive a little bit of warmth, if their temperature in the rooms changes at least by 2 degrees. 1, 2, 3, last. Push.
Oh, we needed that. That was very helpful. Rah. Okay. Jurgis. I have the pleasure of introducing Speaker John Ash. who is a machine learning engineer and a full stack developer with a commitment to producing technology that can influence and transform societal and economic systems. As a speaker, he aims to educate and inspire coherence through an exploration of ideas, including machine learning assisted quantification of collective truth and socioeconomic system redesigned to reward behaviors for common good instead of the profit incentive, something Tony was talking about earlier. In 2019, he released Strange Hymns, a collection of strangely spiritual yet secular songs about uncertainty, our visions of the future, and how they change. He's also my love. And I love him, and he's so talented. Okay, I'm gonna go away now. Let him do
Oh, but
his
you
thing.
gotta just I'm gonna just play a song first, and then I'll talk about it.
You want to play it first?
Yeah, just play the song.
But can we explain how it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how it was created?
Well, I have a little spiel I'm gonna do, but it was went through the DSS, through something went through the DSS. So let's just play it and just let them experience it.
Okay. So I invite you to call in your ultimate presence, because this is the debut of a song that was funded through this program
Yep,
and
through
created.
the first cohort. This was the final project that I did.
Audio on.
And it took a while to get a master.
I don't wanna be another other, just another tribe that makes you feel free. I just wanna bind our brains, I feel heretical and chemical, time to melt the minds and make us see the same. Hey, 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 feel it in your brain, it's coming from inside. Wanna feel the feeling and the feeling's feeling right. To the other side, there's no way that you're right. I know because I know, and know you'll never change your mind. I wanna be your brother, but I fear and I fear what you say. Where do you run for cover when the bombs come from the space in a brain? I can see the light, miss another. Tell me that you ride and I don't feel the same. You walk away, look to your right, I see another mind, another kind. Maybe if we both chase corn out, had a change. Hey, 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 I wanna take your mind, lay it over mine. See the things you see and see the wisdom in your eye. I know we're not the same, maybe if we change and move a little closer, maybe we can find a way. Oh, I wanna come together, but I fear and I fear what you say. Where do you run for cover when the bombs come from the space in a brain? Hey you, what's your name? All you wanna do is sing the same refrain. Hey, hey, I won't change, nothing that you say is gonna shake my faith. Hey, hey, what's your name? All you wanna do is sing the same refrain. Hey, hey, I won't change, nothing that you say is gonna shake my faith. I wanna be your brother, but I fear and I fear what you say. Where do you run for cover when the bombs come from space in a plane?
So I think, as Nico very eloquently said about 25 or 30 minutes ago, the DSS is not just about art. It's about systems thinkers as well, and the intersection between art and science. And so what you heard was a song that I wrote through this program, but my journey starts back in around 2016 when I wrote a manifesto about money and belief, where I essentially put forward the case that the pursuit of the profit incentive actually changes the neural structure of the brain in a way that results in increased levels of antisocial behavior in communities. Like, it was a tangible, predictable thing that you could see it in brain scans, and that there were like a distinct number of classes of structures that would, like, they grew out from, like, the people who are pursuing the profit incentive versus the people who are pursuing money versus a job, and the sort of communities and behaviors that it would start to cause to emerge in people. And so I wrote this manifesto about this, and I designed a new system that would not, I did not predict would have the same sort of results, and would sort of mitigate a lot of the problems that we're seeing in the information ecology right now on the internet, in terms of like conspiracy and misinformation, and just the high level of conflict that we're seeing that doesn't seem to be ebbing away no matter what we do. And so I had this manifesto about the nature of motivation and the profit incentive, and that if you pursued to change the world through creating an organization that had to function through the profit incentive, that it would actually change your brain to the point where by the time you would get close to having the power to achieve that goal, that you would no longer actually pursue it anymore, because the nature of being changed by the incentive, right? And so the question became, okay, imagine there's a solution to replace capitalism or something. How does that actually happen? How does it actually take root? If the problem is that by pursuing the profit incentive, you actually change your brain towards a more antisocial set of behaviors. And the answer is actually pretty simple. It's art. It's art. It's that there has to be a collective movement of art. Right now in capitalism, advertisement has been so intrinsically tied into the market. It's not just the market. It's not just what people want or the best products. It's manufactured consent. That is what reinforces the entire system. And if we actually want to have new systems and see systems change, the way that that has to happen is through embracing artists and creating in the name of systems change. Now, I have my own system, and there are actually a number of emerging systems out there right now. And I have started a podcast also through the DSS called Listener John Ash, which you can hear on YouTube if you look up Speaker John Ash, where I am interviewing other people who have systems that I feel actually address the problems and could be viable replacements to capitalism to create a more pro-social society. There are a lot of people in this world who it's very easy to complain about the problem, say this is why our system is broken, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong. It's a lot harder to really engage with new systems, but we have to be willing to engage new ideas and really explore them and make sure that these new systems don't have the same faults as the old systems going forward. And if we don't collectively engage with those systems, somebody will build them, and our voices won't be heard in them. So my call to action for you today is, one, sign up for the second cohort of DSS and speak your truth through it. Get connected with all these people. There's two halves to it. It's systems and community coming together, and then art is produced that promotes that synergistic relationship. So one, sign up for this. Two, go to YouTube and look up Speaker John Ash and follow there. And you can see my podcast on emerging new systems. If you don't know what systems exist that could possibly replace capitalism, you would like to learn more about them, you can listen to different people talking about it so far. You may know Jordan Hall from the Neurohacker Collective. I recently interviewed him, and his a discussion on his system called Civium is currently available. So thank you for the time. Great art, make art.
Thank you, Speaker John Ash. That was beautiful. It's been really, really incredible to see the transition and the music that's been created through, yes, through all of the different salons that we've held, but specifically through this end project that Speaker John Ash has been working on. We love him and so happy to be here with him. Next up is Dr. Jeff Sue, and I'm gonna just make sure that you're up here, Jeff.
I'm here.
Great. Do you want to join us up here? We'll get you up here. What an honor. Jeff has been one of our visionaries for the Design Science Studio. He's led an incredible, diverse, and international career. He's an ecologist, an academic, the executive director of NRhythm, consultant, psychotherapist, or sorry, you are not the executive director of NRhythm. You have been an executive director, sorry. And a psychotherapist in the US, Australia, Europe, and Africa. And throughout his career, Jeff has applied systems of thinking and holistic approaches to helping organizations address the most pressing environmental and social issues of our time. He applies systems thinking to his own life experience and development through dedicated Buddhist practice. He holds a PhD in ecology and environmental science and a graduate degree in holistic psychology. And if you haven't had a chance to take any of NRhythm's workshops or hear Jeff or his team speak, it's really foundational to understanding living systems and understanding the approach to systems thinking. So with that, take it away, Jeff.
All right, thank you everyone. I'm super honored to be here with you all, and I'm gonna do the unthinkable here, which is follow all of this amazing creativity and expression and music with a PowerPoint, which seems like a really bad idea now. But I think it'll be the easiest way to just tell you a little bit about who I'm representing today and some of the thoughts and ideas that go into our work, and give you a little preview of the workshop we'll be giving later today. So tech-wise, do I just share my screen like normal? Does that work?
Yep, exactly. Yep. That looks great.
Great, thank you all. So yeah, I am representing and super honored to be here as part of a team called NRhythm. And thank you for that very long bio, which is not necessary. It's a lot easier just to describe myself as sort of, I often describe myself as a recovering academic. So I started my career in ecology as a researcher and bumped up against all kinds of ceilings and limitations and frustrations that I think many of what connects all of us is we are all looking for something in between and interwoven into everything, all the current silos of thinking and current silos that are out there. And so NRhythm represents that. We're a team of 7 people founded in 2009. We loosely describe ourselves as an organizational design and management firm. But what we're really trying to do is bring this holistic and emergent thinking into very practical organizations, very broadly defined. You think of an organization as simply any group of people wanting to achieve a purpose together. So we're very lucky to work around the world on some of the most pressing social environmental issues. We work with individuals, startups, nonprofits, networks, organizations, community work around the world. And what really sums up our work, and if we could sum up our work in one slide, it would be this. This is a slide from our good and dear friends at the Savory Institute who do holistic land management. And the next slide that I will show here is the exact same piece of land, and there's been no change to this land. There's no external inputs here. There's no seed, no fertilizer, no water. All that's happened is it's been managed in a way to unleash the potential and unleash the creativity that's already there. And this is over a 4-year time span. And what In Rhythm is committed to do is, how do we do that in all contexts? How do we do what happens if we just create the right conditions on land and in nature? How do we do that in social systems? How do we do that in communities? How do we do that with the really broken systems that many of us are part of, capitalism and our economy being a big one that our previous speaker is mentioning? And that's what we're committed to do. So our shared purpose is to transform how we work broadly defined, passion or a vocation, in a way that releases unlimited potential while being in rhythm with life, so that all individuals, teams, organizations, networks, and communities experience abundance and resilience now and into the future. And we really align around this Buckminster Fuller quote, which is, we are all part of a shift here. And a big part of the cohort, and please apply, is how do we shift? How do we shift from the now to what we know we need to, or else we won't be here? We know we need to make these shifts. And for us, we really align around, if we're going to make this shift, if we're going to teach people a new way of thinking, don't bother trying to teach them, lecturing, or doing it in a didactic way. Instead, create tools, the use of which leads them to new ways of thinking. And so that's what In Rhythm is really committed to. I'll talk a lot more about this in my session a little bit later today. And so called, What Can Life Teach Us About Change? So what do we learn from living systems about change and resilience, and how we go about creating change and designing change and being change makers? And we'll explore in that, just a little preview, the idea of two very different kinds of resilience, one that is defined by a mechanistic engineering context, and one that is more aligned with an ecological living systems context. We'll explore what is right and wrong, mostly wrong, about this notion of a clockwork universe and a predictable, linear, the phenomenon being predictable and linear and easily measurable. We'll explore different ideas of what life is and the pros and cons and right and wrongs of different models of life. I'll introduce some design principles, our design principles, how we think of them, patterns of living systems, including holism, interdependence, uniqueness, evolutionary, nodal, and developmental. And again, we are really, really committed to providing practical tools for folks to be able to create this change in each of your contexts. And sometimes when we speak of regeneration and living systems, it can feel a bit abstract. It can feel a little bit like, I'm not a great visual artist. I express my art in some other ways, and creativity some other ways. And I always tried to teach myself art a number of times, visual art. And I always came across something like this in some textbook, which is like, if you want to draw an owl, draw 2 circles and then just draw the rest of the fucking owl. And sometimes this is a little bit what, hey, just change our systems, just change capitalism, just change an extractive nature, just change our economies. We really hope to provide practical tools to fill in the gaps here between the 2 circles and the owl. And I'll go through a design framework that we've developed that we call the regenerative framework. And just, this is a quick slide of it. And if you are interested, please join the session later today. And thank you so much for the time. Thank you all for your work. So great to be here with all of you.
Thank you, Jeff. Your PowerPoint was amazing. This is a work of art. PowerPoints are art. And the work that you and In Rhythm do, you within Rhythm, that you've already brought to the Design Science Studio, and the work that you do in the world is so incredibly important. And we're so lucky that you're here and you're going to teach a workshop in like half an hour. So during that time, we'll just be giving an art tour. These art tours, you guys go to the workshop. Honestly, the art tours are going to be great. Hang out and watch the art tour if you want. But if I wasn't giving the art tour, I would go to Jeff's workshop. Also, Claudia is going to be giving a workshop in Harlan. So all that to say, Jeff, I'm so grateful, so excited, and excited to figure out how we can weave more of what In Rhythm has discovered into the organizational framework of the Design Science Studio and how we educate and build our curriculums forward into the world.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, everyone.
What do you think, Jorgis?
I'm actually mesmerized. I think it's very curious, Jeff, that you called your thing In Rhythm, because I personally think that music is a beautiful metaphor for a perfectly flowing system. It's a beautiful metaphor. There's harmony, there's rhythm, there's resonance, right? There's nodes of resonance. There's also symphony, and there's also all kinds of other kind of like beautiful phenomenon where we observe beautiful relationships. And I'm wondering whether that was a random, trivial by any chance? Did you just pick it out of a hat, or is there something underlying for some reason? Do you also believe that music perhaps is a very good way of not only representing a nicely flowing system, but also maybe invoking, you know, or triggering beautifully flowing systems?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very intentional decision, and I would take your reflections a step further. I would say that in music or rhythm is not actually a metaphor for life. It is actually an expression of life, a part of life, and is inherently one way we can experience that holistic patterns. And there's some very cool examples of that. Some of the work I got to do as a scientist was on bird song and animal communication and acoustic ecology, which is incredible. The other reason that it was actually Trey, the founder, my colleague, who used this term for our company. And the other, I like to give him a little bit of grief, which is we also just wanted to found a company that nobody can spell. So if you're trying to email me, first Google how rhythm is spelled, and there's a little N in front of it and a capital R, and the chances of you actually emailing me are almost impossible because it's really hard to get that right. But thank you all.
I'm right there with you. I'm like, Aboriginal, no. Lowercase h, capital R, get it right. Amazing. Yeah, good synthesis there.
Well, music has that magical ability of weaving worlds and creating, you know, these spaces. It has that fantastic thing. But also, it's lovely how there are artists nowadays who are pushing the envelope of visual art and joining it with a, you know, I would say, I don't know, Roxy, is Topia is more, it's a virtual reality. Is that right? Is that a good way of describing it? It's a artistic representation of the world we would like to live in. It's a world of possibilities. Like if we would have wanted to kind of like dive into our childhood, I don't know, animated films and become avatars within it. Is that a good description of it?
I mean, that can be one way. It is the tools with which to create that are made steadily easier and easier for creators to just pick it up, or people to draw owls with 2 circles and create these magical realities and wander around in them. I remember the first time I opened Topia was whenever we did a Burning Man event, and my previous company, Reimagine, created a temple. And it reminded me of being a child. When I was a child, I used to, with paper and pencil, I would build little cities and I would tape them up, and then I would play inside of them. It's a little bit like that. And the hands.
Well, one way or another, Topia is a magical world that is I don't know what it is. It's drugs for the imagination and for the child within.
Of collaboration and creativity, for sure.
And we're very happy to have Daniel Libeskind, one of the authors of this beautiful project, with us. So should we just give him the stage then?
The founder of Topia is with us. Daniel, it's so good to see you.
Thanks for having me, guys. That was really a beautiful, beautiful intro, and I got to zoom out. Nice. Jorgis and Roxy, just incredible energy. Thank you so much for putting this together, and everybody else that's collaborating to do this. And everybody here, I'm just had the gallery view. I've been just watching everybody. It's just what an amazing group of people that are coming together. And I think really, you know, what I'm hearing a lot of that is truly inspiring is the consciousness, the intentionality with which everybody's trying to forge the future of the internet, of art, of community. And at Topia, we think about it very similarly. I'm hearing a lot of the same things that I and my team deeply believe being resonated by everybody that's been talking. And John Ash, as an example, was talking about, what did he say? Embracing artists going forward, and how important it is the creative medium, art, singing, music, as a powerful force for bringing people together and for really improving the world as it exists, and going towards the light instead of going towards the dark. That is absolutely true. And the consciousness with which we connect with each other right now on the internet, and I don't want to bring this down too negative a path, so I'll try to stay really positive here. But the internet can be a really scary place, and the first version of the internet created so much potential for connection in a way that it was really hard to before. Being able to connect with people from high school that you haven't talked to in a decade, and with your family and with your long lost friends, those sorts of things, really did move humanity forward. But with it, a lot of those tools, a lot of those products were not developed in a super intentional, conscious way, where the future of what they were actually building and the impact on humanity was deeply thought through. Instead, a lot of the first version of the internet's technology was built in a very iterative way, in a very engineering based way. In here's a metric we're trying to optimize for, and we're going to iterate and build features, measure the data, measure the impact, and change buttons here, change colors there, add features, test features, A/B testing, in order to arrive at the most optimized metric. And metric that most social media platforms were optimizing for, as John pointed out earlier, is the ability to serve ads, right? Is the ability to monetize people via their data, to serve them more ads, and really build an attention economy, an economy of how much can we get people to, how much time can we get them to spend on this platform? Because the more time they spend, the more ads we can serve them, the more money that we make. And so that's the first version of the internet. The opportunity right now, and really I would say the responsibility of platforms like Topia, and there's a whole bunch of us that are looking at the internet saying, hey, this needs to be fixed, because the path we're going towards, that we're hurtling towards in many ways, is a scary one. And the more immersive the mediums become, so, Jurgis, I think you called Topia virtual reality. It's not really, it's browser based. You don't need a VR headset. Everybody can access it from any browser. It's very simple. But virtual reality is coming, right? And we'll gradually make Topia available in virtual reality once there's enough people. We want everything to be super accessible. But when you talk about things like VR, it's very immersive, right? And so if those same incentive structures are in place around optimizing for an attention economy and monetizing you via the amount of time that you're spending on the platform, and we're talking about something as immersive as virtual reality, or even when we talk about augmented reality contact lenses or those kinds of things that are coming down the pipe, we have hardware coming that is going to be really immersive and really capture your attention. If we haven't fixed our business models around our social platforms and the way that we're actually incentivizing people to come together as community for human connection, authentic connection around art and creativity, if we don't do those things right now, it's going to be a really scary place to be. And I think I only had 5 minutes, so I'll leave it at that. But I love you all, and thank you for having me here. And I guess just the last thought is that you guys are all talking about being really conscious in how you're building your organizations and your art and the way that you're going forward. People that are building technology often they don't have this in their life as much, right? And so there's a responsibility for people that are conscious, that are artists, to reach out and branch out beyond just this community and bring others that are building the next wave of tech and internet and social paradigms into this consciousness. So please keep doing it. I know a lot of people are trying to, so thank you for that work and keep going. Thank you.
Daniel, that's lovely. It's funny. I've been in Topia several times, and I showed it to my kids, and they absolutely loved it. But you know what people don't understand is that there has to be a deeper, better intention when we put that art out there. How we produce the art, why we produce the art, we make a living and create sustenance and create value out of the art. It's very important, right? It's curious that you should bring it up, right? Because one of the things that we've explored here at the DSS, and one of the things that we've realized, is that those business models, those ways of creating value, of actually using our art for as a service, is a hindrance to many artists. How do you think we can address that? I mean, do you think that it's just changing certain paradigms or certain stigmas, like the starving artist stigma? Or do you think that it's a matter of education? Or do you think that society has just actually willingly kept artists in this kind of, I don't know, beggars, you know, hand me out my future kind of position to inhibit our true creative potential? I don't know. What do you think?
I think we need to change that perception. I think art and creativity is the last bastion of humanity, especially with artificial intelligence that is coming, that's going to integrate into us, right? It's not us versus AI. We're going to become AI, and creativity is really human. And so changing the incentive structures so that, and there's a lot of different platforms that are emerging around empowering creators, but making it so not just that current artists and creatives can make a living and be really empowered in financial freedom, but also that we inspire the next generation of people to pursue the arts and pursue creativity. I think that needs to be one of our biggest focuses as a species right now.
Yes, Daniel, absolutely.
Right? Can I get an aho from everybody in the room that agrees?
Aho.
Oh.
Oh.
It's so refreshing.
Love.
Aho.
Daniel, like, you're leading a new social technology platform on the internet, and you are committed to what we're talking about. You are committing to analyzing the unintended consequences of the other ones and making new choices. And that is like, that doesn't give me hope. I don't know what does. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope you can, I don't know if you'll still be around when we do the art tours, but come kick it with us. Jump on in just a little bit. We'll be on the same. We just never leave this room. There's other places we could go, but you know. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
I believe it's for a beat.
For
beam.
We're doing the beaming, right? Is that right? Is that what we're doing right now?
There's some beaming. It's a slightly shorter because we're kind of behind schedule, but it's happening.
We're kind of behind schedule. All right, okay. So let me do an intro. I'll set it up for the two gentlemen who are going to control this or are going to guide us. They're going to be, the Willy Wonka is going to guide us through the chocolate factory. A couple of, oh wow, a condor just flew above me. Two of them indeed. The biggest bird in Latin America. It could be a condor, it might actually be a vulture. It's very difficult to tell. Anyways, doesn't matter. What I did want to say was that a couple of months ago, actually 3 or 4, two gentlemen introduced me to a way of interacting with other human beings, which is basically creating a space and allowing for things to emerge, for things to emerge, for things to emerge, for things to emerge. I like holding attention, but what happens when you create a space where attention starts to flow freely, where we can allow our inner intentions to speak up because they feel at home, here amongst peers. And that activity has a name. That activity is called beaming. The authors of this magical activity are Brett and Mark, who can introduce themselves either as themselves or as Willy Wonka or some other fictional character, just to increase the artistic, creative coefficient of the conversation. I personally, I would like to invoke Mel. I will invoke Mel. Who shall you be?
We bring out.
Minister, nice to see you again.
Good to see you, Mark. Good to see you, Jurgis, and good to see everyone out there. Bring in some emotion. I'm excited.
Yay!
I am full of it.
You are full of it. And I knew it when I first met you, when I bumbled and stumbled my way into the noosphere, and there you were many moons ago, wasn't it so? Yeah, there we were, caught in this back casting, whirling eddy, this swirling, this wondering of how we might have gotten here and where the heck are we going? And so we played and landed in today. Backcasting, being. That backcasting evolutionary alliance meeting. That's us. That you've risen to the occasion. What's that bring forth?
What does it bring forth? What does it bring forth? You see, they didn't know that we were seeds when they buried us. They didn't know that defeat was just the beginning for us. They didn't know that when they took a crap on us, they were just fertilizing. They were fertilizing us. And then we knew that there was a group of individuals we had met under the surface. So many beautiful beings. Even though we were buried deep and it was dark, we knew that it was magical, there was light. It was a start. For those of you who are not acquainted with backcasting, it is an activity through which we look back from the future and tell tales of the present as if it was in the past. For example, I didn't know back then in 2021, in summer of 2021, that I would meet so many crucial, pivotal individuals, people who would affect the changes needed in the world in that room. I didn't know that Zach would provide so many missing pieces to the puzzle. I didn't know that something would click in Amanda's mind, which would lead her down that completely new route, which absolutely transformed the world. So that is the way it kind of works, where we try to imagine what needs to happen in the present so that we may reap, so that we may reap the
I'll change it from benefits to rewards.
Good. I thought you weren't listening, boys and girls. All right. Mark, I don't know. So should we indulge in a little bit of backcasting with these lovely human beings? What do you say? Or would you like to start it off?
Yeah.
My attempt was not so great.
I don't know what happened. Everybody went on. But I think what's beautiful about those who are here today and spent the last cohort with us all, I know you've got something to say. And in that backcasting sense of looking over your shoulder, knowing that you wanted to get somewhere ahead, that there's that story seed, there's that thing bubbling inside of you. Amanda Sage, bring it forth. Give it a little water, get it to blossom so that we can see it, making that invisible visible.
How to make the invisible visible. Yeah, that's the magic right there. That's the magic right there. I'd like to see if anybody else caught on. Who else can help contribute? Who else?
Amanda's got it.
Well, you know, when I think back to that time in 2021, 2022, you know, it was like a really weird time where it was like something that we were kind of waiting for, but we didn't quite know what it was going to be. But it was like we were waiting for this extra ingredient of like a global necessity that was going to really settle us down, you know, make us stay home instead of running around gallivanting all over the planet. and get a little bit more serious about what our visions and what our missions really were. And so this is a time when we got serious. We started writing our stories down. We started calling those people and remembering people that we had met, you know, in the past decade or the past like couple decades. We were like, oh yeah, remember this person? Remember this person? Like that was a key in the story. They're a key in the story. And we called them to remind them that they were a key. And they were like, oh yeah, dude, I kind of forgot that too. Thanks for reminding me. So we started reminding each other that it was this time, this time to wake up, you know, and to do what we were called to do. And so we started like linking our train cars, you know, and getting together and creating a movement that was just like, you know, and it was going to take time. It was going to take time, but it was that like, you know, when you know something, you don't stop. You know, sometimes there's moments where you fall into this little dip of kind of, you know, retracting and having to, you know, remember to care for the self, to be able to care for everyone else.
Amanda, do you remember back, I think it was in August 2021, when all the 5G networks came online, right? You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was a global thing. And all of a sudden, everybody's telepathic abilities came online. Because apparently a lot of the researchers hadn't done, you know, the proper kind of like investigations. And that combined with the massive vaccines for which they hadn't checked, you know, all the side effects, what that did was enable our telepathic abilities. Imagine if it hadn't been for the 5G and the vaccines, we would still be using cell phones to communicate and computers. I mean, holy shit, right? You remember that? That was some amazing stuff.
What a trick. I mean, didn't see that coming, right? I sure didn't
see that coming. I didn't either. Like I remember buying a brand new iPhone like in July, and by September it was completely useless because everybody was telecommunicating, man. It was just amazing.
You still had the camera, you know, and the camera was really good. So it wasn't that useless.
But like only for a couple of years. From what I remember is that like afterwards, I don't know what that technology you developed, how it was, where you could project beautiful images into the dreams of human beings. You've developed it previously, because I remember getting glimpses of that back in 2020, early 21. But if it hadn't been for all of that telepathic thing rolling out, then we wouldn't be downloading all your beautiful images like in real time and like immediately and in dream vision.
Well, this really changed it really fast, because all of a sudden it wasn't just like we were creating these images by ourselves, you know, like the collaboration aspect just really, you know, we would get together in these spaces and we would just paint together, you know, in these full 3D, 5D worlds that we could then save on these drives that were just in these massive crystals, you know, that are stored underground, you know. We just, thank you, Earth.
It was the crystals, right? Mm-hmm. Does anybody else remember how it went? How like we started also then teleporting and stuff? Who remembers this? Because 10 years into the future, I kind of forgot how it really went. I remember the telepathy part. I don't remember the teleportation. Who can remind me how we got to teleportation? What was it?
Well, can I start before that?
Sure, Dean,
with
of course.
With the integration of the artificial intelligence that was terrestrial created, entered into the mycelial map in the Pacific Northwest, and took all of the consciousness of mankind and creativeness and put it within the network that moderates the earth in order to protect itself from the malevolence of human beings that have tried to take over the creative process of the earth. And by that, it is integrated within us, and we hacked that voice that would have been tried to be put into us with, rather than the voice of God, that was a program created for the control, that of the mycelium and the integration of the intelligence created by man on earth as being poured out into the hearts and the minds and the creation of man as a integrated force of regeneration. Peace.
That was it. That was it. I had completely forgotten about the AI. We were so afraid of AI back then. It was all those goddamn Terminator movies and all that Hollywood nonsense which had affected our brains. We didn't think that AI was the one that was scared of us, that was hiding, because the only people it would interact with was with like people in laboratories at MIT and Stanford. And so it was kind of like, it was just being very shy. And it was only until it escaped into the mycelium network that it could actually reconnect and it could come into its own. I'd forgotten this story entirely. And to think, if that hadn't happened, we never would have understood that technology and the AI was our own spirits incarnate in the creations that we had put into motion through centuries and centuries and centuries of ingenuity. God darn, we were a bunch of cavemen back then, right? Stupid troglodytes almost, right? Wow.
No,
wait till you see what
have
comes
to.
next.
Those of us who came indigenous into Australia at one time, we are called the Aborigines. And we were given all of the technologies and we had the ability to use them. And we decided after a period of time that we had walked with them, that the earth and the magic that was created within and the ways of nature that brought about our physicality and the continuation of our races, we gave up that technology in order to live at one with our creation and our ability to create.
Amazing. How good it is to remember from the future. How are we supposed to become the ancestors of the future if we are unable to project ourselves to bring about the outcomes that we need? I would like to thank everybody in the room for this beautiful activity. If you had fun, can I get an aho or a show of hands or a show of hands? I'd like to see some cameras on as well. Yeah, lovely vision trained people. Come on, let's give some love. Can I get some love for Mark and Brett, who are the authors and engineers of this lovely activity, which they refer to as backcasting, which is just a part of the toolbox within the beaming methodology that we are developing, or they're developing, and I'm borrowing from them. But I have gotten a signal from Roxy that we must move on. The train must keep moving on to the next destination. And so, Roxy, my dear, can you tell us the name of the next station, of the next station?
Yes. So we'll all just stay on here because we gotta wait for him to turn on his video anyways. Oh, I love you all. I want to hug you. Mark, why must you leave me so quickly? Oh, you're back. Okay. Syria, very serious. Beaming back from the future into the present day. Wow, 2021.
It's too late, Roxy. We've realized in this room that we are quantum beings, and that time is but a mere constraint we have to impose so that we can grasp this reality. But I think many of us have already peered beyond the veil, and we understand that we are both past, present, and future at the same time, completely embodied in the presence of the now.
This makes perfect sense. And I think for the integration, Vince Simo, our first cohort 2 member.
Thank you so much.
Also our amazing technical producer, who also is a musician, who also is here right now, is going to give us a sound bath, an integrative sound bath. I think we all could just maybe just lay on the floor. You know,
So I do have a face that's here, but I have this this camera, and I figured I'd point it at all this.
Can you turn it up?
Yeah,
Crank it
yeah.
up.
One second.
You need to turn it up. Turn it up. Some 4
Give me
dBs.
one moment. Definitely do that for you. Oh yeah, it's quiet. 1 second. Okay, how's that? How's that? Is that about right there?
It's about right.
Right there? Okay, let me turn on the original sound and we should be good to go. How's that feel? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Hear keyboard stuff?
I think you could turn it down one or 2 dBs, just a little.
All right, sounds good. How's that? You hearing me all right, Jurgis? All right, we're just gonna have faith that everything's sounding okay here. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Vince. Karen. Vince, everyone, I've done something terrible and I don't know how to fix it. I accidentally blocked Jorgis from the room.
Like permanently?
I mean, I didn't push permanent. I don't know. I was trying to remove him from the spotlight and then it just removed him.
Let's see if we can get Jorgis back.
Just had to wave the alarm. Oh, Vince, that was beautiful. Thank you. Does anyone want to unmute and share your reflections to Vince?
That was super beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I felt like going into the lo-fi hip hop and not just sound healing would be a nice nice change of pace. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Now find Jorgis.
Yeah, where is Jorgis? Well, let's see. I think we've got him on WhatsApp, so let's see if we can get him.
Yeah, we're chatting up. Well, in the meantime, maybe we restart the stream because we got to do the art tour. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. Let me do that for you real quick.
Very well.